if you say you're a Christian, but you're living like the world and being selfish and choosing things that are of the world, then that's proclaiming the world, even if vocally you're proclaiming Jesus. We could be looking towards things that are of God, but still proclaiming the world. That's a really good heart check. Are you investing in something that's so temporary, like a tent? Or are you investing in your forever home that is in heaven? Hello and welcome to the Living Life for Real podcast. I'm your host, Evelyn Byers, and I'm here with you guys for another solo episode, which I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about this one. It's going to look a little different. I'm going to be talking kind of about one particular book, well, more like particular chapters in a book. I'm going to be talking about 2 Corinthians 4 through 5 and kind of like hopping around different little passages in 2 Corinthians 4 through 5 because I was actually reading through 2 Corinthians recently, and I just realized there was a lot of like really good stuff, and I felt like especially in chapters 4 and 5, I felt like there were a lot of passages that kind of provoked some really like convicting questions for me, and I just thought this could be a really cool thing to share about. I had 4 questions that I wrote like in my Bible. Like when I was reading through these, I was journaling in my Bible, and as I went through, I kind of like highlighted certain sections and wrote like a question in each of those sections. And once I was done with chapters 4 and 5, I had 4 questions, and afterwards I thought, you know what, this is something I could share on the pod. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I think it's going to be really good because these are questions that I feel like are really purpose driven. And I think it'll really help call us out on where we're actually going and if we're going where we want to be. Because I feel like that's so often a problem in our society, is that we have this goal and this vision, and we have all these dreams and ideas of how we're going to get there and where we're going to go and all of these things. But the problem is, I feel like we so often drift from our purpose and from our passions, and we end up going somewhere we never planned to go, and we're pursuing something we never planned to pursue. And I think there's some really good passages in 2 Corinthians that can really help us to just realign where we're going and really remind us like where we intended to go in the first place. Like, is this where I saw myself? Did I see myself taking this path or this career? Did I see myself pursuing this relationship or this friendship? And so I hope these 4 questions can kind of help you guys focus on your purpose and your calling and determine, am I drifting? Am I going where I saw myself going, or have I drifted from that purpose and that calling? So the first section I have for you guys is from 2 Corinthians 4, 5 through 6. For what we proclaim is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, with ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. So what I really want to hone in on is that first little section where it says, for what we proclaim is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord. And I think that leads up to my first question. What are you proclaiming? Are you proclaiming Jesus with your actions and with your intents for things? Or are you proclaiming yourself? When you're talking to people, is what you're saying pointing others to God, or is it pointing to yourself? I think that a lot of situations we can really analyze this, whether that's in our workplace, maybe we're doing things to glorify ourselves rather than to glorify God. And in the Bible, it literally says you should be glorifying God with your actions, not man. You shouldn't be doing things to serve people, but you should be doing things to serve God. And so even like in your workforce, when you have a job, yes, you're working for your employer, and God calls us to respect our employers, but in the end, everything that we do is to glorify God and to bring Him glory. And so in your workforce, are you trying to glorify yourself or are you trying to glorify God? And with our friendships, are we proclaiming things that are selfish and of ourselves, or are we proclaiming things that are of God? Are we supporting the world or are we supporting God? Like, how are we proclaiming, whether with our words or with our actions? Because it could be unintentional. You could be supporting things that are of the world and not God, and you haven't even said anything about it. You could be supporting things that are of the world and not God just by living it out with your actions. If you say you're a Christian, but you're living like the world and being selfish and choosing things that are of the world, then that's proclaiming the world. Even if vocally you're proclaiming Jesus, your actions are proclaiming the world. And so I think that that's the first question to really analyze. Okay, what am I proclaiming, whether with my words or with my actions? Like, how am I displaying Jesus? Am I displaying him in a negative light or am I displaying him in a positive light? Am I displaying him or am I displaying the world? That's the first question to really analyze. Okay, what am I proclaiming? I know I want to proclaim Jesus, but have I drifted from that? Have I slowly become selfish? Have I slowly become conceited? Have I slowly drifted towards friendships and relationships that are of the world and I'm no longer proclaiming what I believe? I think that that's a really important start. And as I was reading through this, I was even feeling convicted by that. I was like, oh, like there's so many times when I'm thinking selfish things or choosing to say selfish things when in the end, the glory goes to God. And another thing that I thought about this when I was reading it was like, how often am I talking about God? Are my conversations evolved around myself? Are my conversations evolved around selfish things or things of the world? Like, how often do I bring conversations back to God and to Jesus? Because not every conversation has to be about him, but I think that the way we talk and the way we act should be centered around what we believe, and the way that we talk should be godly, and that we should be doing things to honor him no matter what we're talking about, whether we're talking about him or not. And one thing I thought was, okay, well, when I'm talking about things that aren't God and that aren't Jesus, am I proclaiming it in a way that would glorify him? Or am I proclaiming it in a way that glorifies the world? I think that's another thing to think about. Like, not only just in the way that I'm talking about the gospel and about God, but in the ways that I'm talking about other things. Because every topic and every conversation, every action, all should be centered around God and our belief and faith in Him. And so if we're talking about things that are of the world, but we're doing it in a way that glorifies the world, then that's when it becomes sinful. We can talk about things that are of the world, but as long as we're centering it around God and around our beliefs and our faith in Him, then it's okay. Then that's glorifying Him. We just have to be careful in how we're handling topics. Are we handling it in a way that is shining light to Christianity, or are we doing it in a way that's shining light on ourselves? So that's really the first question to think of. Like, what am I proclaiming? For all of these questions I have, it'll hit everybody in a different way. And so it's something that really you should take in your own time to really reflect on, okay, where have I drifted? Where would I like to align myself? Or maybe it's not that you've drifted, but that you never felt aligned in the first place and you want to become aligned. So maybe it's not that you slowly shifted what you're proclaiming. Maybe it's you were never proclaiming God with your actions in the first place, and that's where you'd like to start. Whatever it is for you, like just take the time to really think, okay, how can I shift what I'm doing? How can I be proclaiming God better? How can I be glorifying him in what I'm doing more? And the second passage I have for you guys is 2 Corinthians 4:18. As we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. I did have to check to make sure I pronounced that word right, and I think I did. I think it's pronounced transient. But basically, it just means lasting only for a short time, just for those of you who don't know, because I did not know. I had to look it up. But this passage is kind of just talking about what we're looking towards. Are we looking towards the things that are seen, or are we looking towards things that are unseen? Which the things that are seen would be things that are of the world, and then the things that are unseen would be things that are of God. So the question I have for you, the second question is, what are you looking towards? Are you looking towards things that are of God, or are you looking towards things that are of the world? Because this is different from what we're proclaiming. We could be looking towards things that are of God, but still proclaiming the world. And then the question here is just really nailing down on what are you even looking towards in the first place? Are you choosing to look towards God and His kingdom, or are you looking towards the world? Are you trying to find your purpose in God, or are you trying to find your purpose in the world? I think that this is like really the root of all of the problems, and the root of our heart is what we are looking towards and what we are seeking in the first place. Whether that's in our workforce or just in everyday life. Because if we're seeking to glorify God in all of our actions, then we're fulfilling what God has called us to do. But if we're seeking to glorify ourselves, then that's going against that. That's taking ourselves and putting ourselves in our own lives on a pedestal and glorifying that and glorifying the world rather than God. And as the word said, transient, I think, like, are you investing in the things that are temporary, that are lasting only for a short time? Or are you investing in things that are eternal? Because in the end, things that are of God are the things that are eternal, are the things that really fulfill you, the things that are lasting, the things that are truly purpose driven. Meanwhile, these things that last only for a short time, they're fleeting. Like, the thing is, there's always more. There's always things you can want more, and prices go up, and things don't fulfill us. And eventually you'll realize, I was chasing this. I was chasing myself. I was chasing the world. I was chasing these temporary things, and they didn't fulfill me. I was chasing what was temporary when I should have been chasing what was eternal, what was lasting. And in the end, it's what we're looking towards. Are we looking towards things that are seen, or are we looking towards things that are unseen? Are we looking towards God, or are we looking towards ourselves? Are we looking towards the world? And I think this one's a really big like heart check, because I know so many times I can get stuck in these materialistic, trivial things. Like just the other day, I was thinking for probably like at least 30 minutes on which hair curler I wanted to buy on Amazon. Meanwhile, I don't think I thought for 30 minutes straight on anything that I was doing that was going to further the kingdom. And I think that that's a really good just heart check. Like, I was literally thinking for 30 minutes about this material item that I really didn't need, and that was eventually it's going to end up in some waste pile and completely useless and literally just only adding to pollution. It's not going to do anything for us. And I could have been taking the time to think for 30 minutes on how I could grow, on how I could invest in somebody else, and how I could just invest in things that are of God and things that are unseen. But the thing is, I was thinking for those 30 minutes about that hair curler that I really didn't need, and that in the end will just end up in a waste pile, like literally serving no purpose because it's temporary, it's unnecessary, and it's materialistic. And again, that's just a small example. And I'm not saying don't buy a hair curler, because I did end up buying it, which actually it had really good shipping. It came in literally 12 hours. I think that's the fastest I've ever gotten a package. I ordered it at like 10 o'clock last night, and it literally was here at 10 o'clock this morning. Like, it was actually insane. I was so impressed. But anyways, that's besides the point. All to say, like, if you want to buy that hair curler, you can do that. I'm not saying you can't have things and you can't enjoy these blessings that you've been given, but I'm saying, like, where is your heart? What are you thinking the most about? Are you thinking more on those materialistic things and worried more about yourself? And are you working just so that you can have money to be able to buy those things? Or are you working so that you can provide and that you can glorify God in how you're working? I think it's all just really, what are you looking towards, and what are your motives behind what you're doing? If you're looking towards God, the way that you're living will be glorifying Him. If you're looking towards the world, the way that you're living will be glorifying the world. If you're looking towards yourself, the way you're living will be glorifying yourself. And so that's the second question. Really analyze, okay, what am I truly looking towards? Is my time being invested in things that are temporary and things that are seen, or is my time being invested in things that are of God and things that are unseen and eternal? Also, fun fact, I actually have these questions on my lock screen on my phone, just so when I open my phone, I can look at them and be reminded. I don't have all four of them. I only have three of them because there wasn't that much room. But still, like, maybe just analyze which ones you need to be reminded of once it's all over and you've heard all four questions. Maybe think, okay, this is a question I need to be reminding myself of, and I maybe should put this on a sticky note in my bathroom, or I should put it on my lock screen, or whatever. Maybe for you it needs to go in your car, or just a sticky note on the front of your Bible that you can look at every time you open your Bible. I don't know, like, I'm just shooting out ideas right now. But yeah, whatever it is, like, once I've gone through all the questions, maybe there's a question that really stuck out to you that you really need to focus on and you really need to be reminding yourself. But anyways, let's move on to the third question and the third passage. This one's a little longer, but I cut out some of it. It starts at 2 Corinthians 5, 1 through 2 for this first part. For we know that if the tent that is our earthly home is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For this tent we groan, longing to put on our heavenly dwelling. Now moving on to the next section, which is 6 through 10. So we are always of good courage. We know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Yes, we are of good courage, and we would rather be away from the body and at home with the Lord. For whether we are at home or away, we make it our aim to please Him. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, whether good or evil. And so for this one, I really want to focus on that first section, but I thought that whole passage was pretty good. The first section was saying, for we know that if the tent that is our earthly home is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, but it's eternal in the heavens. And one thing I wrote in my notes in my Bible was, who invests more in a tent than in their home? Like, my family, we love to go camping. We have a camper that we'll use, but we also have a tent. And one thing I just kind of wrote in my notes was, what do we invest more in? Do we invest more in appliances and in needs that we have for our home? Or do we invest more in our tent or our camper? We definitely invest more in our house. Our camper is it's old, it's not pretty. Let's just say that. On the inside it's pretty because we remodeled it, but on the outside it is not very pretty. And same with our tent. We don't have the nicest tent. We have a tent that works for us for when we want to go camping. So this passage is really using this as an example to point out where our priorities are. Are we investing in the tent or the camper that is from our earthly lives and these temporary lives? Or are we investing in things that are structured, that are our forever home, that are in God, that are in heaven? Because that's where our true home is. That's our house. That's our forever home. But this tent, this is temporary. This life on earth is temporary. And so that's a really good heart check. Are you investing in something that's so temporary, like a tent? Or are you investing in your forever home that is in heaven? And so that's my third question. What are you investing in? Are you investing more in the now and in your life here than in heaven? Than in your eternal life? Are you investing more in time and energy, in space, and with efforts to serve yourself and to serve your life here on earth now? Or are you investing more of your time and your energy into serving God and for your future life in heaven? Because, like in Ecclesiastes, they say everything is meaningless. Everything here on earth is meaningless. It's shallow. It's toil under the sun, is what it repeats all the time in the passage. And that is another really good passage to kind of heart check. What are you investing in? Are you investing all of your energy into the meaningless things of the world? Are you investing into meaningless things like a hair curler? Or are you investing into eternity, into your eternity, into other people's eternities? Are you spreading the gospel so that other people can have that forever home? Are you growing your relationship with God and developing that with Him? Like, what are you doing? Are you investing in that forever home, or are you investing in the tent? And so that's the third question. What are you investing in? Okay, and now we have our final passage and our final question, and this is 2 Corinthians 5:14 through 17. For the love of Christ controls us, because we have concluded this, that one has died for all, therefore all have died. And he died for all, that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised. For now on, therefore, we regard no one according to the flesh, even though we once regarded Christ according to the flesh. We regard him thus no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. And again, I really want to focus on that first section. For the love of Christ controls us. And that's really the root of this next question I have for you. What are you being led by or controlled by? Are you being controlled by love? Are you being controlled by the love of Christ? Because it literally says in that passage, we are being controlled by the love of Christ. For the love of Christ controls us, because we have concluded this, that for one has died for all. That is the root of everything. Christ literally died for us. He gave up everything. He was the perfect sacrifice. He loved us so much that he gave up everything. And it's saying in that passage, we should be controlled by that same love. We should be ready to give up everything. We should be ready to love others as deeply and as passionately like that. We should be controlled by that love of Christ. And so that's my question for you. What are you being controlled by? Are you being controlled by hate? Are you being controlled by strife? Are you being controlled by your selfish desires? Are you being controlled by materialistic things? Like, the list literally could go on and on and on, because there's so many things they're being controlled by. Like, even for me, I know there's things that I am letting have a grip on my life that don't need to have a grip on my life. This is one of them. For those of you listening, I'm holding up my phone right now. And I think that that's a big one for everybody. Pretty much everybody has a phone. Like, if you're a teenager or older, you probably have a phone. And that phone probably has a big hold on you, whether you want it to or not. Like, honestly, we all probably spend more time on our phones than in our Bibles. And like, I've seen so many videos of this literally on Instagram when I'm on my phone, that like, if people treated their Bibles like they treated their phones, like, they would be literally scrolling through, well, not scrolling, I guess, reading passages as they're like in the middle of conversations. They would be hopping out of bed to immediately read a passage of the Bible, and they would be reading a Bible the moment they go to sleep. And I think that really shows where people's hearts are at. Like, they're being controlled more by their devices, more by social media, more by materialistic things, things of this world, things like of themselves, than they are by the love of Christ. And I think that that's really the biggest heart check of them all. What are you really letting control you? What are you really letting have a grip on your heart and have a grip on your life? Is it things that are going to, in the end, be an investment in the kingdom? Or is it things that are just of yourself that, in the end, are just going to be meaningless? Now, I know all of those questions kind of had a similar root. They're kind of all very, purpose driven and very, convicting on what you're investing in. Really, that's one of the questions. But I think they kind of all have a similar note to that. And I think that there's a reason that so much of those Second Corinthians passages were really pointing towards that, because so many of us are lacking that true purpose and that true calling. We're letting things of the world guide us and dictate us, when really God is the one that we should be looking towards. God is the one we should be finding purpose from, and we should be looking towards reflecting. And so I think these 4 questions really are just so convicting, and they're such good reminders to pay attention to what you're truly investing in, to what you're truly living your life evolved around, and to truly remind us where we want to be, and to not let our purposes drift. Are you drifting away from God? Are you drifting away from what He's called you to do? Or are you aligned? Are you focused? Are you living in a way that's going to glorify Him or glorify the world? And if you're not doing that, then make that shift. Don't let yourself drift away, but shift back towards that purpose and align yourself with God and with His calling for you. And so really just ask yourself, what are you proclaiming? What are you looking towards? What are you investing in? And what are you being controlled by? I'm just going to end it right there, and that way you can have some time to really think, where have I drifted, and where can I make that shift back to truly live out my purpose that God has for me? So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it. That helps it get to other listeners, as well as subscribe to the show or follow it, whichever platform you're using. It may be different. But anyways, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in a few weeks.